Packers sold. Bears win in an exciting finish. Ben Johnson dials up another comeback victory. Rams looked pretty bad at the end of that game, and almost it looked like we're going to sell out against the Panthers, who fought with heart. Panthers weren't a team who was going to knock anybody off in the next round, though. The Rams could, but the Rams are also vulnerable, as you could see during this game against the Panthers. So Rams advance over the Panthers. The Bears come back and embarrass the Green Bay Packers. That entire Packer coaching staff should be immediately fired. They shouldn't be even allowed to get on the bus because they gave away this game with their putrid, absolute brutal and playing not to lose play calling. And we called it on the Patreon when there was a huge lead. Bears looked bleak, and we said the Packers are going to play it safe and lose this game. And they absolutely lost the game. Fire the entire Green Bay coaching staff. Jordan Love didn't play that bad. Like, Jordan Love actually was trying to give his team the best chance to win. So I don't even want to say Jordan Love needs to be moved on from or anything like that. But Willis is probably the better quarterback in my opinion. But they couldn't play him. Like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I didn't think that this game was going to be won on Jordan Love's back, but Jordan Love didn't lose the game. The Packers coaching staff lost the game. And that defense is the worst defense I've probably seen in a first-round playoff battle in some time. There was nobody guarding anybody. These Chicago Bear players were just roaming around free of any sort of defender, checking them. There's nobody touching them. They were untouched 30, 40-yard plays. It was unbelievable. But the Green Bay Packer staff should be immediately fired. And Jacobs looks like he's done. We said avoid him this year as he start to tank, and he certainly has dropped off. What do the Green Bay Packers do at running back? That could be a running back landing spot. Another amazing topic of conversation. We'll get to it in a second. Puka Nacua. What an amazing day by Puka Nacua. Adams was mediocre. Loveland was fantastic. Top 3-4 tight end in 2026. Where does everybody have Loveland? Is Loveland maybe tight end number 3? We'll talk about that on the other side of the intro. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
That game was wild. Let's break down the most recent game, this Packers unraveling. And look, the Bears deserved to win the game, and the Packers did not. Let's make that abundantly clear. But the Packers lost this game. The Bears certainly needed to deliver, and they did in order to win. I'm not trying to take away any sort of, production that we saw from the Bears, and especially Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson looked like he sold this game early on, making horrible decisions. Ben Johnson diarrheaed in the first half of this game. It was absolutely atrocious play calling, horrible decision making, risks he didn't need to make, wasn't taking points. It was like he was coaching like Dan Campbell, like we said on the Patreon. It was embarrassing. And then Ben got back in his bag. Ben started dialing up the right plays, and the Packers started getting in their prevent defense, which we could predict. We predicted it during that lead when they were up huge. We knew that this is the way they were going to play. Jacobs is running like trash. They kept trying to run the ball on first down, never worked. So they just set themselves up for a third and long every single time they were touching the football. Swift didn't do anything till the end there. That 54 yards and a touchdown was nice. Colson Loveland just dominated. 8 of 137. DJ Moore 664 and 1. Roma Dunze had 2 catches for 44 yards. Luther Burden was quiet with 3 for 42. Caleb Williams was atrocious the majority of this game. Let's not kid ourselves. There's a few of you in here. Caleb's a goat. Iceman. He looked like trash a majority of the game. Ben Johnson did an amazing recovery job. But Caleb he has a good arm. There's no doubt. He'll throw one completely over someone's head one play, and then the next play, he'll hit Loveland on some sort of crossing route or near the sideline. But this was a blunder by the Packers more than it was a win by the Bears, but the Bears deserved to win the game. Make no mistake about it. I was actually rooting against the Packers at the end of that game because they deserve to lose. This coaching staff deserves to be moved on from. The Green Bay Packer fans deserve better, and this was atrocious play calling. This is atrocious design. This is atrocious prevent defense. And the Packers deserved to lose that game. Love had 4 touchdowns and 300. So when I say Love didn't lose the game, Love had a good game. Statistically, it was a good game. He didn't make any mistakes. I do think Willis is the better quarterback, but it is hard to say that when Love has 4 TDs and 323. But it was just one of those games where the certain catches needed to be made, certain play calls needed to be had, and this team just sold this game. I mean, it's remarkable. Like Caleb had 361, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs, looked putrid for majority of the game, started to get in his bag at the end. Ben Johnson got in his bag, and the better team won tonight. The Bears were a better team. The Bears walked in as a better team. Green Bay should have won this game. Green Bay punted it. And Jordan Love, is solid as those numbers looked, it wasn't enough. And I just don't see this team. I don't see this team winning with Jordan Love. I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl. I don't think they're getting into a championship game. And again, those stats are nice. They're really nice. And he didn't do anything to lose this game. But man, this was a awful unraveling. And this coaching staff in Green Bay needs to be let go immediately. They shouldn't even be allowed on the bus. They should make them take their own vehicles home. The lock should be changed. This was the worst unraveling of a playoff situation I've seen in some time. Just an absolute unraveling. And then when we go over to this other game where the same thing started to feel like it was happening in LA with this Rams situation here. 301 and 3 tutties for Stafford. He delivered. He did have the INT. He delivered at the end. Clutch touchdown throw in the right corner or right front pylon. Toss to Colby Parkinson, who is a dog. This guy's a massive human being. He's a truck. And he went up and snagged the ball. And I heard that Stafford went in the play and said, let's go snatch their hearts from him on 3, whatever. Broke the huddle, went out there and tossed that zinger right to Parkinson. And it was clutch. And that game could have went a different direction, just like this Green Bay Packer game switched to win a different direction. Both of the teams that were expected to win this game in Green Bay because they were up, and they were the dogs in this game, but they were up, and it was expected they were going to win. The Rams expected to win. Panthers climbed back. Panthers shouldn't have even been in that game, the way that game felt, and then they were just all of a sudden it was down to Stafford needing to sling a touchdown pass to win the game. And the Rams stepped up. But the Rams have proven they're vulnerable to a degree. And so, if you're a Rams fan or you're rooting for the Rams to advance or you're doing fantasy based on the Rams advancing, you got to be a little nervous that this team can fold in any one game because they seem shaky at times. But they stepped up. Puka Nacua, 10 for 111 and a touch. Devontae Adams feels like he's running out of gas a little bit. I don't know how I feel about Devontae Adams walking into 2026 because he's kind of just been bland as of late. And I don't know that he's going to walk into 2026, catch the same number of league-leading receiving touchdowns, which is so unbelievable, the stat that he is. I don't think any other receivers ever gone to 3 different teams and led the NFL in touchdowns. Like, just unbelievable year. But he's tailing off. He's fading. And I don't think he's going to be a serious, elite wide receiver next year if he ends up playing again. And I assume he will. But Puka's taken over this receiving room, 111 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, Parkinson with that score. Kyron Williams, 2 for 18 and a touchdown on through the air, 13 for 57 on the ground. Blake Corum, 11 for 45. Chuba Hubbard had 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had 46 rushing. Coker was unbelievable. Tet was decent with the 5 for 81, but it feels like Tet is limited in this offense. And I don't think Jordan Love, regardless of what the game, the box score shows for Jordan Love. Again, Jordan Love, 4 touchdowns. It's hard to like rip on somebody that walks out of a game, and I'm not ripping on him, but 4 touchdowns, 323. It's hard to walk out of a game and just say, I don't think the Packers are winning anything significant or substantial with Jordan Love as the quarterback, especially with this coaching staff. And I think, you could say the same thing with Bryce Young. I don't think this team, Bryce Young, while he's got upside and shows flashes of goodness here or there, I just don't see this. I don't see him staying with one team for very long in the coming years. And 264, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. This team is playing way above. They're way over their head, in this contest anyway. Like I said, if they advanced, I don't think that they're going to win another game, but Rams could. Green Bay could win. Green Bay probably wouldn't have won another game. Chicago could win another game. Because like I said, Chicago was a better team. They should have lost the game. They didn't because Green Bay sold it. But Chicago has the better chance of winning another contest, advancing at least one more round. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying they have a better chance. Ben Johnson is a masterful football architect who looked like he crapped the bed in the first half, but boy, did he bounce back and recover in this game. Ben Johnson, hats off. Detroit's literally salivating over the idea of if they could once upon a time send Campbell away and retain Ben Johnson. Imagine Ben Johnson in Atlanta. We talked about that on the Patreon. Imagine Ben Johnson in Atlanta. But what a good couple games. I mean, there's an exciting ending. Whether you wanted the Packers or Bears, regardless, it was an exciting ending to the game. Exciting ending to the other game as well, the Rams-Panthers game. But wow, what a day of football. And then tomorrow we've got more games. Chucky in the building says that flat wheel route combo on DJ Moore touchdown was crazy work by Ben Johnson. Yeah. I think everyone's out in Green Bay, bro, but who knows? Who knows? Right now, if it were me, I'd fire everyone. Because that was the worst unraveling we've seen in some time. Dial into the show.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Unraveling is what that was. I was truly, you guys know me, I'm not the biggest Bears fan. I'm a Ben Johnson fan though. But I'm not a big Bears fan, and I was rooting against the Packers. At the end of that game, I wanted the Packers to lose. They deserve to lose. Because the fan base deserves better coaching. So hopefully that can turn things around. And maybe Jordan Love, maybe I'm too hard on Jordan Love because, again, I mean, he had a remarkable statistical day. But I don't get the feeling that he's winning anything substantial. But maybe with the new staff, they can, because you got to also keep an open mind, and I'm trying to. I'm admitting that right now, that Daniel Jones was not expected to be what he was under Shane Steichen. So if the right, like Kubiak, or the right coaching staff got a hold of Jordan Love, maybe he would turn things around. Yes, Adunze, I'm hoping Adunze gets traded. The only thing with that is that if DJ Moore's not there, then they probably won't want to trade him. But they don't use Adunze. They don't value Adunze. And I think another team, for a very, very small window of time, we're talking about maybe this offseason, maybe not. Maybe nobody even views Adunze well anymore. But you might have a chance to trade him for higher value than you see him as. Because if the Bears don't use him like even a wide receiver 2, because you have You have Loveland as your 1. You have Burden as your 2. And then, DJ Moore stays or goes regardless. No matter what, your wide receiver 3 might even share that role with the running back room. If you can get more value out of Odunze than that value that you hold over Odunze, then it makes sense to move him and bring somebody in that you value better, that might even fit better in that role. Because sometimes if you place a player with Odunze's skill set, a potential diva dominating wide receiver, you put him in that spot, he might not even grow. He might just, his growth gets stunted, and then he just kind of falls apart because he's not meant to be in that role. And so he'll get down. He won't try hard anymore. Kind of the way it looked like with BTJ, with Hunter coming onto the scene, just BTJ fell apart. I think that's the way we could be seeing Odunze in Chicago. And if they don't see him as at least their high-end wide receiver 2, which they don't, because Loveland's going to be the 1, Burden's going to be the 2, and then, like I said, everyone else is kind of sharing and rotating. Odunze won't be happy. They won't get the most out of him, and they should trade him. They should trade him. Absolutely. What a day. What a day. What a day of ball. Those are 2 exciting games. You're live, 8 or 513. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Smitty? It's Elijah from Ohio.
What's up? What's going on, pal?
Not much. I just finished watching that game, and I was thinking, I mean, for next year's, fantasy outlook for the Packers, what do they really have going for them? I mean, are we really looking at anybody on that offense? Josh?
Yeah, I'd say Christian Watson. Jacobs is toast, man. He's done. I mean, he couldn't.
And then Christian Watson. I mean, what are we ranking him next year? If we're being honest.
Wide receiver 3 territory. I don't know exactly where inside that grouping, but I mean, he's a solid wide receiver 3. I mean, he's got tons of upside. I think if you drafted Christian Watson, and I don't think you'll have to draft him higher than that. You draft Christian Watson, and all of a sudden, you're hoping for more than the value you paid. And if you get just the value you paid, that accounts for a lot of ups and downs, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. It's certainly, Green Bay is a concern for me. Like I said, it's really hard to come out of this game and be critical because the box score is so loud. The box score, Bobby, in me and in anybody, is going to say, well, Love had 323 and 4 touchdowns. And granted, like I get what that looks like to be critical at all over Love. And I'm not being critical over Love's performance today. I'm just saying that this team is it's hard to imagine them winning big games. I just can't see it. And Chicago's defense is leaky. And just because the Green Bay Packers didn't deliver at the end, it's because they were nervous. The coaching, the play calling, everything was pitiful. And Love was pretty composed. Like, Love didn't make a lot of mistakes. You would have thought Love would have thrown an INT, pick 6 or whatever, and turned this game around. Love stayed pretty composed. There were some false starts. There was a lot of bad things that ended up, unraveling there at the end. But Love did pretty well trying to do his best to try and keep this team in it. There were some drops. He did his best at the end of that game. But I just don't think Love is the answer. And he's been shaky before. So, like, this game doesn't make me trust him from a long-term perspective. But Jacobs, Manuel Wilson, I mean, we liked him. He's kind of a fun player. But I don't think you can put any faith in his long-term value because you don't even know how the team views him. And they're going to be bringing probably, and they at least should be, an entire new staff. So we don't know what the pecking order is going to be. I want nothing to do with Green Bay except for maybe Christian Watson. But it will depend on his ADP for sure. But yeah, Green Bay's a total void other than that.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if Jordan Love is necessarily the problem, but like you were saying, I don't know if he's the answer. Right. I don't know. I was watching that game, and he's not playing bad. He's not like, throwing the game for them, but the receivers aren't helping him. I mean, I feel like I saw 3-4 drops on the last 2 or 3 drives, so I feel like they have to get that under control, figure out, something to do with the coaching of the wide receivers or who knows. But I mean, yeah, Jordan Love, he had four TD passes.
Smitty
I don't know.
said that.
I feel like he's going to be fine if they figure out the pieces to help him,
Yeah. We'll see.
I think he might be able to thrive next year if they
we'll see, my boy.
Fix the coaching.
Well, you will see, my boy. All right, here, mute yourself real quick. I'll be back for you in a second if you want to think of another question. Travis, you're live. Real quickly, Scotty Dude dropping a super chat. Your prediction on the 49ers game. What do you think? I think that they'll probably lose the game, but it could be one of those games where it comes down to like one play. But it's hard to say because, I mean, Shanahan is a tremendous play caller, but he could look like where he sells the game or he comes back and wins the game. Like, he could go either way. Trent Williams, I believe, is going to play, so that's huge. If he wasn't, I'd say that this is going to be hard for the Niners to pull off. But it's probably going to be pretty close, man, because the Eagles are going to keep it close because they don't score. Like they should. They should be scoring 40 points a game, but they don't. So it's going to be who gets to 21 points first is probably going to win the game, even if it goes beyond that, is probably what's going to happen. So I would say defensive touchdown, turnovers probably decide that game. Travis, you're live.
Yeah, so, like, Jordan Love, I think it's just he's good. He's not great.
Yeah,
and, like,
for sure.
They need someone. Well, first of all, they need to like get a coach that's gonna actually have like a pecking order with the receivers and pass catchers because there's just no rhyme or reason, it seems. And I know some guys like to spread the ball around, but you can do that and still have dominant pass catchers. I guess losing Kraft didn't help either, but like you said, I agree with you. Like, I'm not touching any Packers really as of right now. Things can change, but
unless like Christian Watson fell to like a good value, right? But or Tucker Kraft, I could get behind Tucker Kraft, like but he is coming back from injury. So we'll see how he is.
ADP matters,
yeah. The ADP is definitely going to determine whether both their values will be determined on the ADP for sure. But yeah, Love is not, and that's why I'm trying to be careful about how I'm saying this, because Love's coming off a 4-touchdown, 300-yard playoff performance here. It's pretty hard to say he's a problem, and I'm not saying that. I just like the thing is, I don't think he's the difference maker, and I'm not saying that had Willis been in the game, they would have won this game, but the problem with Love is I feel like he's just efficient at times and not efficient at other times. And he's just, like you said, a good quarterback. He's certainly a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback at all. But I think your team's just going to be different. You're going to be set up different. You're going to have more momentum. You're more dangerous because of Willis in there. And this is one of those things where it's like, similar to, should the Lions have let Ben Johnson go or made the hard decision? Like George Costanza wants out of his relationships, but he can never pull the trigger, and so he just makes the wrong decision and continues to date. And then he's looking for a way out, and he can't make the easier call that's more painful to make. Like, I think all of us realized and knew at the time, it's not like hindsight, that the better person to keep would have been Ben Johnson and let Campbell go, but you couldn't do that because of perception. Just like George can't break up with his fiance without having an actual cause. And so the same thing with like Love. Like, you couldn't put Willis in over Love because of contractual reasons. You're paying money for Love to be the starter, but like, would you have won that game if Willis was in there? That's the only thing I'm trying to say. And at the same time, no matter what, this coaching staff needs to go. And it's not because they didn't make that call, but they don't they would never be the kind of staff that would have made that call anyway. But like, I want somebody that could think like that. I want somebody in there that's going to make the right decisions. Like you said, they have no clue at wide receiver what to do. Everybody's screaming Golden this season now. But Golden played really well tonight. Very, very well. But they don't stick with one wide receiver. They never will unless they get rid of this staff, which I think they will do now. But who knows? They got to bring in the right type of, like, if you brought Kubiak in, you probably would have one wide receiver shine. Because look at JSN. So you need that kind of thinker in the building. But is Green Bay an attractive enough location to pull in somebody like that? Maybe. I guess. Yeah. I mean, Green Bay's got a lot of history. But I wonder if anybody wants this team the way it is, especially with the other situations are just a little bit brighter, right now. Yeah, like even LV's more attractive than Green Bay. It just is. For sure. The foundation's there. I mean, regardless.
Even the Giants, you could argue, is more attractive because they have young players, and you kind of get, there's a lot they have to do in Green Bay. They have good pieces, but there's a lot they have to do to get to that next level. I think you make a good point that like Love, to me, he's a better passer than Malik Willis is right now, but especially against a team like the Bears and in that environment, Malik Willis is better in that chaotic situation and making things happen, and his legs are such a difference maker. He probably would have been better at the end of that game.
And there's something to Jordan Love being a part of why they don't have one wide receiver standing out. It's not just the coaching staff. Your quarterback's going to make decisions. The staff doesn't say into Love's helmet, throw it to a new receiver this time. Love's going through his checkdowns, and he's making decisions to throw to this player, that player, this player, that player. So we can't blame it all on the staff. But so this is why I believe he's the problem. Christian Watson with Willis seem to gravitate together. I think we would see consistency from one wide receiver, and you kind of need that. I think that if you keep doing what you're doing here, where it's just you don't know who's going to do what, you're just going to fall short every year. You're playing for second place. There's no way you're going to be a winning team without domination at certain positions. It's not going to happen. Look at any winning team. Look at any team doing it.
Do you think Love was starting to do that with Kraft, but then he got hurt? So it's hard to know if he would have locked in like that or not. But you're right. I mean, like you said, ultimately it's him going through the progressions.
Yeah, it was. You can disagree all you want, Kobles, with the Las Vegas being a better spot. I understand. I know not everybody's going to see the vision of what is unfolding over there. But in 2 years' time, come back to me and tell me what team you would rather be coaching in 2 years' time. And we'll talk about it. Love is not bad. Love is not bad. He is just not a QB in this situation anyway. Maybe the new staff will change it. Like I said, look at Daniel Jones. I didn't think Daniel Jones was going to do well at all. And Steichen turned him around like crazy. I didn't think Trevor Lawrence, mid-season, I was ready to give up on Trevor Lawrence, going, Liam Cohen's good, but damn, he's not getting the most out of Trevor Lawrence. I just don't know if Liam Cohen has the right quarterback. And look at mother freaking Trevor Lawrence right now. So anything can happen. Love could take a big step forward with the right coaching, offensive coordinator, QB coach. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm not saying give up on him, but as it stands right now, judging these situations the way that they are currently right now, that staff should be gone in Green Bay. And Love is solid. I just don't know. I don't think they're winning.
Good question. I just don't think they're winning. There's a few people in the chat asking, would you rather have Love or Darnold?
They're very similar. That's how I feel about
Love.
I probably would, but
very close.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Love. I think he is Darnold. I would rather miss on Willis than try and win with Darnold or Love. And maybe I'll end up being wrong and Willis won't be the guy, but I'd rather try because I know I can't win a Super Bowl with Darnold and I know I can't win a Super Bowl with Love. And I could live to regret that if Seattle wins the Super Bowl. But I just don't. I don't know. Maybe the defense is good enough to take Seattle into a Super Bowl contest. I'm not saying they can't. They're the 1 seed. So it's a unique combination for Seattle the way Seattle is right now. So let me rephrase that. Seattle could win with Darnold, but they're not winning because of Darnold. So my point is, if I don't have the Seattle defense, you're asking me what I want, Darnold or Love. That question is more outside of that situation. So I'm going to say without Seattle's defense, I'm not winning a Super Bowl with Darnold. Without Seattle's defense, I'm not winning a Super Bowl with Love. Without Seattle's defense, I'm probably not winning one with Willis, but I at least like to try. That's the way I look at Willis, because Willis is exciting to me. I've always liked him. This isn't like he looked good this year. We got just a very small sample, and now I like him. I liked him coming out of college. He was one of my favorite prospects coming out of college. I loved him in Tennessee, and then when he got a small time to shine in Tennessee, he looked like trash because Tennessee was horrible. So if you put Willis in the right spot, I think, especially if you gave him to Steichen or a QB cultivator like Dable with, let's say, Flores as a head coach, and you put them in a situation where he can go shine. I'm not saying LV because LV is going to take Mendoza, but if in an example you were to take Flores, take Dable, take Willis, put him in LV, you would see production. And you see really good production. But where could Willis go? There's definitely a few locations he could land. I think, Arizona is going to keep Brissett. The Jets are probably drafting a QB at 2. We know the Raiders are drafting a QB at 1. And so it is kind of a tough, it's tough to even speculate where Willis is going to end up being given a chance. I don't know. I mean, Minnesota makes the most sense just because J9 is not that guy. Maybe Mac Jones will be available via trade. Maybe not. The Saints have their guy. Yeah. Minnesota, Miami. So Willis is either going to be starting for Minnesota or the Miami Dolphins, or it's really it, right?
I don't know what Pittsburgh does. I mean, what does Pittsburgh do?
I mean, they could move on from A-Rod, or A-Rod retires. It's hard to say, but I'll probably say, Miami or Minnesota is going to be where Willis starts. Mac could get traded, most certainly. Elijah, if you've got another one, call back. I didn't mean to keep you holding so long, but I don't know. We'll see. But I know. Yeah, Loveland. To get on the topic of Loveland real quick, let me minimize Love and just put Loveland on the spot on the stage. Loveland, Loveland, please report to the main stage. Loveland, to the main stage. This man right here. I mean, he is a solid 2026 tight end prospect, and you're not going to be able to steal him away from anybody. That's for sure. I mean, he is on the map. Like no one's going, oh, I'm going to predict Loveland to be a break. Like no one cares. Everyone knows Loveland's a breakout. Like you're not telling anybody anything they don't already know. The question is, how high will he be ranked, and will he deliver upon his newfound vaulted up ADP? Because if everyone's saying tight end 3 or 4, he can't really screw up from that. Like you're that cost. I'm not saying I would avoid him. I'm just saying we do have to have a conversation at one point. Is there any room for upside where he's probably going to get ranked, or does he have to hit those numbers, the expectation level, to get you back to return? Depends on where his ADP goes. Doesn't so much matter where he's ranked tight end wise. He could be ranked as tight end 3 or 4. But if he goes way beyond, like rounds beyond Bowers and McBride, then he still could be worth, his investment, his draft capital. But if he goes like a round and a half,
be really high.
Yeah, if he goes like a round or a round and a half after like Bowers, I don't think you're paying through the roof. So it depends. But I love him. I think Loveland to the moon. I mean, he looks great. The question is, like, will Tyler Warren a round and a half or 2 rounds later be a better option? Will Fannin 3 rounds later be better? You know, there's going to be a lot of options this year, but Loveland certainly from just evaluating him as a prospect for 2026 as a sophomore, he looks fantastic. And he clearly is Caleb's favorite target. You see how Caleb is gravitating to one player? It's Loveland. Like, even when he threw to Odunze in the end zone, they miscommunicated. Caleb, like, threw his arms up and he was disgusted. Regardless of whose fault it was, he was disgusted with Odunze. What did he do? Just went right back to Loveland, kept on purpose throwing it to Loveland over and over and over. And Ben Johnson does dial up some of that, but at the same time, Caleb holds onto the ball so long, you know that whenever Caleb's holding onto the ball, that he's going off script 100%, and he's looking for somebody. And he's pretty good at backyard football. But there's a problem when you're holding onto the ball too long. That's why you see a lot of the chaos that's there and a lot of the comebacks that they need to win from because they're constantly playing off script. But Loveland's the guy he targets immediately when he's off script. And a lot of times when a quarterback is running, you'll see that tight end, and this is the case with Kyler and McBride, the tight end just trails the quarterback. And every time you just see Caleb running and he throws it, Loveland's running in parallel with him and catches it, goes out of bounds. 20, 30-yard gain. That this guy's going to live in a saturated environment of targets. And if the Bears don't fix their leaky defense, then you're just going to see this kind of production again next year. So he's a fantastic option. The only thing you just want to question is whether if he does go right after Bowers and he goes like a round after Bowers, you're probably overpaying. And I'd rather have, Warren 15, 20 picks later. We'll see. Let me go to DJ real quick, Travis, and back to you. DJ, you're live.
Best show on the planet, Smitty. Great games, good conversation. Love, I'll start there. Listen, the reality is he is a starting quarterback. From a fantasy perspective, I don't think he's really that good. He's a better, in my opinion, pro quarterback starter. Yeah, he dropped 4 and 3 or whatever. But he'll start somewhere. Might be a LaFleur problem. They do have a number one receiver from a standpoint of targets, and that's Dobbs. But he's not a number one receiver, right? I would think, Watson, yeah, I get your point. I think he could be the number one. But Dobbs is and has been past couple of years, and even in the red zone, the number one, but Dobbs is not number one. I think LaFleur, because his contract is up next year, I don't disagree, man. Not that I'm agree or disagree with you. I'm just saying I think you're right, man. They very well could move from him.
He's fired right now.
He got one more year.
Yeah, the owner. I don't see how ownership decision makers haven't already fired this entire staff in their mind. And if I'm not saying they've actually done it, I'm saying in their mind they're gone. And if somehow this Green Bay staff does not get let go, and they better not just fire everybody but the head coach. That's the weasel way out of this thing. If they don't clear it out, then if I was a Green Bay fan, I don't know, I'd just throw my arms up. There's no way a Green Bay fans should have to endure what they just saw again. Like, this is a complete selling out by this coaching staff. I said what was going to happen on the Patreon. This is now that they're out to this two score lead, more than 2 score lead. They're going to sell this game because they're going to go into prevent defense and they're going to just surrender the game. They're just going to play so careful. They're going to punt 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Okay, Chicago only needs so many chances to score if you're going to keep going 3 and out. And they keep running the ball into a brick wall. And it's not like the Chicago, defense is even playing that well for the majority of this game. They did at the end only because Green Bay was selling. They were not playing. At the end of the game, that last drive was them opening back up again. You notice how Green Bay almost scored at the end, but they couldn't do anything the previous plays when they're trying to run on first down every time into a straight brick wall when Jacobs is running like trash. Jacobs looks like he's a shell of himself. And they just kept, okay, we got a fresh set of downs, the ball back. We can't give it back to Green Bay. Let's run a 1-yard run right up the gap and get smashed and start off 2nd and 11, 2nd and 10. And let's get to 3rd and 9 every time. They're trying to lose. And I know that the Bears defense is very opportunistic, and maybe you're worried about a pick six and the game getting tanked. But I mean, I'd rather have a shot, because you knew, I kept saying in the Patreon, you can feel the momentum. They're losing this game. You can feel like this is one of those games where you had like your house on the line and you knew you were going to lose it. Like it was so nerve-wracking to think about what it felt like as a Packer fan, and I'm not a Packer fan, or it felt like somebody that had something on the game and they knew they were going to lose. Like when they were down over 2 touchdowns, you knew the Green Bay Packers were going to lose. You could feel it. You could feel it. It was nearly guaranteed they were going to lose. Nearly guaranteed. That you can feel that vibe. You know when a team's going to give up and sell out, and the Packers staff absolutely just gave this game away. They deserved to lose. The Bears deserved to win this game, not the Packers. But anyway.
Oh, well, they got out coached. And the idea is when you're up that much, right, you want to run the ball. But the problem was, like you said, man, a yard, maybe 2. So now they're behind the chains. I mean, that's what you were supposed to do. Run the ball. I mean, you're up, whatever. But maybe Jacobs has lost a step, line.
Maybe put in Wilson?
Whatever the case may be.
Maybe you put in Wilson.
That's
Emmanuel
right,
Wilson.
The philosophy is right. The philosophy is right, but the execution,
if it's not working, switch it up.
I mean, put Emmanuel Wilson in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because they kept doing it, man. They did it, 3, 4 times?
And the worst part is watching Swift wide open with not a single defender on him. It reminds me of the Niners. Just like, what's coming. It's going to be a dump off to Christian McCaffrey, and there's no defenders anywhere. Like that, over and over. It's like Shanahan dials this play up over and over. It's like Purdy drops back, throws it to McCaffrey. McCaffrey has no one in front of him for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. By the time they close in, he's already squeezing out another 4, 5, 6 yards. It was like watching the Packers try and cover the Bears when the Bears have been playing like trash all day. And anybody that thinks Caleb is him off of that game, Caleb has good traits. He does. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's the most impossible quarterback to sack in the National Football League. Like those are some flowers I'll give him right now. I say it all the time. Whenever I rip on Caleb, I always try and say something positive like that. And if you haven't noticed that, I've been doing that lately. And Caleb he's got a lot of talent. He is a cannon, an absolute cannon attached to his shoulder. But he played like trash almost the entire game. And it is, mute yourself real quickly. A lot of noise in the background. I'll be right with you. It is frustrating to watch one team, and thank God I had nothing on the game, so it didn't bother me that much. But you're watching one team. You naturally root for one side. I think that's human condition. And I'm rooting for the Packers. And you're watching one team have nothing but untouched players running down the field, wide open players. No one's on Swift. No one's on Loveland. They keep going to Loveland, but he's wide open. Like it's over and over. But Caleb would throw a pass over a player's head by a country mile and then throw another pass into the ground and miss entirely. And then he'd throw one to Loveland that looked like a beauty. And you're watching these announcers go, wow. Wow. And Caleb Magic, after he just played like trash the entire game. Now, granted, Caleb deserves his flowers. He did help win this game. No doubt about it. And Ben Johnson obviously helped win this game. No doubt about it. But Green Bay was more of a responsible party in this loss than anybody. And that doesn't matter at the end of the day. The Bears won. But the Bears bring this type of football into each round. They're not going to successfully get to the end. There's no way you can hold on to the ball the way Caleb does and not make as many mistakes as he did all game and still get saved by the defense selling. So as much as people want to believe that this is magical, whatever is going on here, it's impressive for sure, but you're going to lose, and you got to figure out how to play within the structure of the system. And look, Caleb was pouting on the sideline, yelling at people. It was a bad look for a while. It looked like it was unraveling for Caleb, and they bounced back, and this saved Caleb's negative momentum, going into next year. Even if they lost, let's say, this next game, there's still a lot of positive stuff for Caleb to go into the next year. And Caleb will get better. I'm not saying he won't get better. I'm not saying he won't survive in the league. I'm not saying that at all. But whenever we're talking about Caleb, we're talking about the number 1 overall pick. So you got to understand, when we're trying to describe what he's doing and delivering, I'm going to judge it based on him being the number 1 pick in the draft, not, hey, this is a Jordan Love, because Caleb to me is Jordan Love, is Sam Darnold, is Jared Goff. Like, those are all capable of finishing QB9 in fantasy. Like, could Caleb have a QB7 finish in fantasy one year? Sure. He's throwing a lot. Like Ben Johnson, especially if their defense plays like this, they're going to be thrown from behind. There's a lot of points to be had. But keep in mind, Caleb almost had 3 interceptions tonight. Had a fumble. They got it back. There was literally 4 turnovers that you could have attributed to Caleb. They got very lucky on 2 of them. And then he did have 2 interceptions. There was a lot of mistakes made tonight. A lot. They won the game, though. And Green Bay was just atrocious. Staff better be fired right now, let alone tomorrow. Go ahead real quick, DJ, and then I'll put you on mute, and then I'm going to go
quick.
to the other 2.
Yeah, real quick. Chiming in with the Caleb Williams. Fantasy purposes, he's like good for that. He's that guy. Only problem I have with Caleb was just in terms of, real football. Could he be a leader and et cetera, just between the ears. But Ben Johnson is just in his bag, my God.
Well, the second half he was.
And I don't, because I don't want people to get the impression that you're hate on Caleb or anything along those lines, because he has talent, and if we're talking strictly fantasy, he did finish 5?
No.
I don't think so.
No, he did finish 5.
I think he finished through 17. 5 PPR. So, from a fantasy perspective,
he's around. I'm looking at it right now. He's around 6 or 7, depending on scoring. But I don't have a 5.
Well, right.
But
5,
yeah,
6, 7.
like I said, can he have?
Maybe.
Can he have a season like that? Can he finish 7? Could he finish 6? Yeah.
Yeah, you said that. That's why I wanted to point it out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But he also had a lot of injuries.
The issue with that in fantasy is that, and other guys are like this too, so I'm not just singling him out. When you look at game logs, it's going to be the consistency with him, because when he's not a top 10 quarterback, he's like 25, 22, 27, 24, and that loses your week. So, you have to, and like I said, I'm not just singling him out, but, you can look at the overall finish and then look at, what they're doing in terms of week to week too.
Yeah, but this is a weird year too, though, because we had a lot of injuries. We had, Burrow got hurt, Lamar Jackson got hurt. Let's see here. JD5 got hurt. I said Lamar. Who was the other quarterback? There's another. I'm not thinking of it right now. There's another big. Oh, Mahomes.
Oh,
So Mahomes is number 1.
Herbert got hurt.
Mayfield
was banged up.
So in reality, Caleb was probably 10. Let's say 9 or 10. If you were to try and account for that. Now, injuries happen, and you can't just play that game. We could go back, and when we're touting up somebody that finished running back 5, someone could come right in and go, but if you said earlier, you take the players that got hurt. So you can't really play that game. But But I don't know. I like certain attributes about Caleb. I've said that. He's got a cannon attached to his arm, but he holds onto the football way too long, and you can't play off script like that and not get hurt. He's going to get injured. He almost got hurt tonight. He actually got hurt tonight, but he can't. You're going to get injured or you're going to lose the big game, because there's no way you can play backyard football through consecutive playoff contests without fail. You're going to have those hiccups, and you just can't, So we'll see if Ben Johnson can change that in the coming years. Maybe he can. Maybe he can corral Caleb in. And the problem with Caleb is he sees a read and he thinks, I can get more yards with my feet. And so he pulls back and he goes through his progression. And then all of a sudden he's out of the pocket and he's running around. And it can work. But has anybody noticed that it's working at the end of games? It's not working in the first, second, third quarters over and over and over. He only does this at the end. And if he doesn't execute upon it, they lose. So it's not what you want.
Fire drill. Complete fire drill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, all great points. I'm going to shut up on this point, but even still, in terms of just a yardage, and we're speaking in terms of fantasy. Me personally, between the ears, and I think to your point and what you're talking about, I don't know if he can win a chip. But the reality is, Ben Johnson and this young man Caleb Williams, we're talking about him in the playoffs. And I think what was interesting is that Ben Johnson calling these fourth down plays in the first half. I don't know what that's about, considering his defense being the way it is. So I think my thought is Ben Johnson is like, Evan, this is what we do. I'm going to throw the ball around the yard, whatever the case may be, because you wouldn't, I think, normally do that. He did it like 3 times, man.
Yeah.
All
right, hey,
in that first half.
All right, hold on one second. Mute yourself real quick, DJ.
Yeah,
let me go to these other cars. Let me go over to the 515 and then 949. You're next. Just hang tight. 515. You're live. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Smitty? It's Top Chef Steph, man. Calling from Iowa. What's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Yeah, just calling into this game. Kind of touching base on what you guys said. I do agree with everything. As far as the Caleb, I completely agree with him being, you're a first round overall pick, especially number 1 overall. You got to be performing at that level. As I was watching the game, though, I will say, the Packers did kind of blow that lead, especially. But, I mean, Ben Johnson, if you looked at how many times, kind of what DJ was saying, they were going for it, on their own 30. They weren't converting fourth down drives. They had 2 fumbles that they didn't fall on, So the game was always there. And, playing football myself and having all this background, you talked about momentum, and momentum's huge. It's something live, that you can almost feel when you're seeing it. And yeah, when that half ended, man, and that second half started, you could just feel the flip of the script, and it just felt like if the Bears could just make a couple stops, it just felt like this is going to be another Bears way that they're going to win. Somehow they're going to come back. Caleb Williams, it felt weird when they were down so much,
You just knew that once they got up and the Packers were dominating, you knew they're just going to be like, okay, let's pull back the reins right now. It's like, why do that? When something's working, when something's working, I don't know why you take your foot off the gas. Shanahan does this in the playoffs too, and that's why Shanahan gets given up on by his fan base, and then they love him again. Then they give him, everyone's like, Shanahan's the best ever. Like, he was 50% of the fan base wanted him gone walking into this season.
Do you think that's a coaching tree thing? Because they were, he's under the Shanahan coaching tree. Do you think that's just their play style and how he's developed?
I don't think so. But point is, like, I don't know. The Green Bay Packers, it was you just knew they were going to give the game up. You just knew it. You knew it. Like, I would have, if I could have, in the moment, would have tried to find some way to put, like, a couple $100 on the Packers losing the game at halftime, when it was halftime, because I just knew they were going to sell the game. You just knew that it was going to go that route because of the way that this coaching staff plays scared. And it's notorious that they always do it. You knew it was coming. It was telegraphed. And Ben Johnson, while he made big mistakes, and Ben Johnson diarrheaed the bed. at the beginning of this game. The first half, Ben Johnson.
Yeah, it was horrible.
He choked.
Completely flat. Yep.
Yeah, he crapped his pants, and he made bad calls. He didn't take points. He tried to go for it on fourth down when you shouldn't have. It was a pretty bad situation. What?
That's going to lose them games. That's going to lose them games, man. Kind of like with Dan Campbell, in the playoffs. It's similar to when he would go for it for fourth down. I feel like with playoffs, all these teams are just so high level, talent with just any team can win. You got to take the points, man. I feel like personally.
So it was a debacle in the first half, but you knew that if there was going to be a coach and staff that was going to screw it up in the second half, it was going to be plain scared Green Bay Packer staff. That real quickly, hold on 1 second, bro. Burnt Toast says traded my Bryce Young and Malik Willis, Woody, and a 26 1.10 and a 2.8 and a 2.10 and a 3.10. Bro, what the hell you doing?
Wow.
Or JD5, Smitty approved or overpay, super flex. I think that, at the end of the day, bro, I'm fine with this in a super flex. It's a lot of picks, but the 2.8, 2.10, 3.10, those are just clutter. Always nice to have, but Malik Willis, we don't know what he'll be. Bryce Young, we don't know what he'll be. These are two players that aren't cemented into like a certain situation for years and years and years. They're both volatile, could move around. I don't know if Bryce Young will be in the same spot for multiple years. I don't know. Willis, he could start, maybe doesn't. I think I'd rather take a bet on JD5. 1.10 is nice, but this is not an overpay in my opinion. I think somebody might look at it that way because there's a lot of stuff there, but none of that's moving the needle. JD5 could. JD5 is super solid. I like him. You could even move Kyler now or keep Kyler as a third option. It's never bad to have three, but maybe you can move Kyler there. But Smitty approved that even though it is kind of a complicated trade. EA Goat says Puka feeding families. Clint Kubiak to Green Bay. I think Coops would be good in Green Bay. And like I said, you would see one wide receiver emerge just like JSN's getting fed. And I think Coops would be perfect. Packers can blame McManus, but it came down to bad coaching. McManus was a problem too. We haven't talked about that yet, but he's definitely a problem. LaFleur time is up. Stale play calling, bad personnel packages, same mediocre scheme. That's right, Coble. Coble's right. All right, real quickly, bro. Last thing, and then I got to go to the next caller. So
I guess other than that, man, just a crazy first round of playoffs. It's exciting to watch, and I'll be looking forward for the Jags to take down the Bills tomorrow. And I'll be staying tuned on the live stream. Appreciate it, Smitty.
All right, appreciate you. Later, bro.
Later, bro. Yep.
949, you're live.
Hey, Smitty. Packers fan, kind of devastated. But, okay.
I can't hear what you're saying, bro. What are you saying? What? Who's this? What?
Hello? I have a question. I'm not even trying to troll, but, like...
What's your name, bro?
What's
your name?
Frisk.
You can already tell he's trolling.
It's Frisk. The Matthew Golden guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's talking like he's trolling, so I hung up on him because I don't even know what he's saying, and he's barely speaking. You want to call back one more time, Frisk? I'll give you a chance if that was Frisk. I couldn't tell what he was saying, so I'm not going to keep him on the line if I don't know what he's saying. He's a guy. I was told my stapler. I don't know. Because Frisk is, if that is Frisk, so it makes sense. He trolls in the chat, so I 100% called that right. He trolls in the chat all the time, and I knew he was trolling the phone line, and I could tell from Jump Street. Frisk, if you want to try one more time, dial in. But speak with authority and let me know what you're actually thinking. Don't try and troll the chat. I have a feeling he's calling to say, I'm not trying to troll. I'll tell you what he's going to say. You know what? He doesn't even need to call. I'll tell you what he's going to say. Hey, Matthew Golden is going to go to the moon because this is the guy that says Matthew Golden's a wide receiver 1. Look, Matthew Golden was good tonight. Like, he was good. They drafted him in the mother freaking first round. He should be able to do that kind of stuff. but he hasn't. And I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know what's in store for him. I like him more today than I liked him before the day started, if that makes sense. And if that makes you feel good, Frisk, or whoever likes Matthew Golden. But Matthew Golden played one solid game all year. and none of it helped us in fantasy. So if you think I'm going to take one game and try and do some, like, I forget who it was on the Patreons, like G-Rod, was it G-Rod, I think, said that Matthew Golden over Puka. Like, that's just lazy and ridiculous. I'm not having that conversation. That's like saying that the earth is flat. I'm not gonna even debate it. Frisk, go ahead and try again. I couldn't tell if you were trying to have a serious conversation or not, but dial in if you want to continue. He saved his bus status today. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, you got to remember, Golden was the guy that caught the football. I put the image on my Patreon. I think I have it on my phone here. Golden's the guy that caught the football, and there was not a single person around him, and he ran out of bounds. I don't know if you can see that right there, but he caught the ball. Look at that. Golden caught that ball. The ball's in his hands. The ball's in his hands, and he ran out of bounds. And he didn't run out of bounds like, oh, I'm falling down. He ran out of bounds and then looked back like, like I got the first down, guys. He ran out of bounds right there. That's who we're talking about. So he stepped up today. Great job. I'm very, very proud of him that he was a first-round wide receiver, and he finally had a game. But pardon me while I burst. Pardon me while I want a little bit more before I put him in GOAT status, like some of you want me to put him in today. We'll see what he does. I guess he doesn't want to call back because I said call back if you don't want to troll, and he hasn't dialed back yet. So apparently he wanted to troll. DJ, final thoughts.
Burden. What, top 20 next year?
Appreciate all of you over on Rumble, guys. Golf over there. Golf, appreciate you. Rob, appreciate you. I don't know if Hebrew Hammer is over there. I think Burden, I don't know if I'd put him in the top 20. I think there's a possibility he could be that good. So, like, would my hope be that you get that kind of return on a lower investment? But 20 is a little rich.
Right.
Given we just saw him kind of become, he wasn't the priority tonight, and it was the biggest stage they've had. And I'm not saying he didn't do fairly well, but, you look at the box score, and I'm not saying one box score tells the whole story either. I really like Burden. Like, if Burden goes nuts next game, then everyone's going to be like, Burden of the moon. Like, and we've been higher on Burden than most people you could find because he was my third-ranked rookie receiver in this class. I love Burden. But he definitely wasn't a priority in this game, and you wonder if DJ Moore leaves next year, then, yeah, he becomes the number one. But you still have a lot of mouths to feed here, including the running backs in Ben Johnson's offense, where if you're not the number one, like Loveland is clearly the number one. Look, 8 receptions. He had 15 targets. DJ Moore had 7. Adunze had 6 targets. Burden had 7. So those are clearly the top receiving options. But when you got Swift and Manungai, and there's a lot of mouths to feed, and I don't know if you're ranking him at 20. That means you're probably putting him now, expecting or hoping for 20. Top 20 is one thing, but you got Njigba, Jamar Chase, Nacua, Lamb, not in any particular order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. JJ 6, St. Brown 7, Nico 8, Pickens 9, London 10. I'm just throwing receivers out, not in an order. AJ Brown, sure. Wilson, Olave. Egbuka, you've got Adams still, if you believe in him or not. You start getting into that territory where it's like, can I put, I don't know if that's 15 or whatever, can I put Burden right there?
Michael Wilson, AJ Brown, Flowers, like,
yeah. I mean, you still got MH Shea, you still got, I'm not saying that Evans and Waddle, and I don't know how many of those guys I would want more than him. I probably want Burden. I think what it comes down to is I want Burden's maybe more than a couple of those guys, but I want to wait and then get Burden later versus drafting him there. But you're not wrong to talk about could he be that good. I love Burden a lot. He could take a huge step forward next year. Huge. But he does also live in a world where the quarterback's rotating around. Naturally, because he's always outside the pocket. So he's trying to find somebody that's open. He's not targeting one specific guy, checking down his progression tree. He's literally scrambling around in the backyard. And if Bird is lucky enough to be the guy that gets open, then Bird will get the ball. That's the problem with this offense and the way that we're trying to like pinpoint one player. It's like only Loveland's getting the ball on a first, second read. You know, it seems like anybody else it's fair game.
Yeah, I think that, again, leaning on Ben Johnson, his philosophy, I'm just thinking that Burden is going to play the Ama role. And I'll leave you with that, man. Best show on the planet.
Well, that's
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, later, DJ. I mean, he was drafted to be Amon-Ra for sure. So that is Ben Johnson's Amon-Ra, St. Brown. But we'll see if Caleb can make him consistently good enough to be like considered an actual Amon-Ra. I don't know. Racing Boy with a $10 hauler says, tried trading my Amon-Ra. The guy only wanted neighbors for him straight up. And I tried for JSN. Guy said no, but said he'd do Lamb for my 327 first rounders. And Hendy told him he's crazy. Now, hold on a second. I'm not saying I would do this. I just want to, I mean, my initial reaction isn't to slam the door. So let me see what we think of this. Hold on. Let me move Jordan Love out of the way. Let's cook up this trade here.
So, and for context, because I was talking to him about this on the Patreon, he has, at running back, he also has Genty. He has Genty, Gibbs, Hendy, and he has a 1.01 this year that he can take Jeremiah Love with. So he can start all four, though, too.
Okay, so 327 first rounders. Lamb for... Oh, and Hendy. And Hendy. So he's not getting Hendy. Okay.
No.
So he's saying he wants to trade this, or the guy wants to trade. He wants him to give all this to get Lamb. Yeah, hell no. I'm sorry.
That same guy is JSN too.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the first trade though? Tried trading Amon-Ra, and that guy only wanted neighbors for him. But the way you're wording all this, Racing Boy, is like backwards. Like tried trading Amon-Ra, and the guy only wanted neighbors. Like you're saying he wanted neighbors.
Okay.
You mean wanted to trade you neighbors? So, yeah, okay.
Or Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra for neighbors. I mean, I have neighbors higher than Amon-Ra in Dynasty.
Right. Racing Boy has neighbors.
See, the way he's wording this, I don't know. I tried trading for... Okay, I'm sorry. I read it wrong. Tried trading for Amon-Ra. Yeah, I want neighbors in Dynasty. I'm sorry, Racing Boy. I read it wrong. My fault. I read it wrong. I think, I want neighbors in Dynasty. However,
because I was talking to him about it in the Patreon, like I said.
My bad, Racing Boy.
If he could get JSN, I don't know if he can get him from this guy. Would you give up the 3 firsts and another player for JSN, or is that too much for you?
Yeah, I would.
And what level of player you like? Would you give up Hendy too, considering he has the other running backs, or is that too rich? His team's loaded. Like if he gets JSN, it's in really good shape. But seems like a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd probably rather, if let's say you told me you have the 1.1 in 2027, and then you have probably like a 6 and a 7. That makes it tough because Jeremiah Smith and in these picks, you could easily argue though that JSN is number 1. So is Jeremiah Smith better than JSN? Probably not. Could he be? Maybe. But you can't start thinking that highly of somebody that still has to come in and land with a certain team, get a correct quarterback. I mean, you see Justin Jefferson struggle to be even a top 15 wide receiver without a quarterback. So you can't just assume that Jeremiah Smith goes to the most ideal spot when you have no idea what that's going to look like in 2027. So you got to take JSN, even if you know you're getting the 1.1. Now, if you're getting the 1.1 and 1.2, and you knew that, and let's say 1.8, this is a whole nother ballgame because you're getting that RB as well, and we'll probably love one RB. And I'll tell you right now that hold on one second. Let me just type in something real quick. Just read this real quickly. Yeah, okay, so I just want to make sure he could declare, but this is probably going to be Bo Jackson. So Bo Jackson is potentially going to be as good a prospect as Jeremiah Love. And I'll do a video on this kid, this Ohio State running back, but I love Bo Jackson. We'll probably, you'll see something, I don't want to give it away yet, but there's going to be something that's going to allow us to, in a sense, have like a Debbie board. And this guy's going to be on that board. So like if you were guaranteed to be able to get the 1.1 and 1.2, and you could get Jeremiah Smith and Bo Jackson, to the moon. But that's a hard sell. Like you got to really convince me. Other than that, I want JSN. Now, depending on what player, 3 first rounders for JSN, all in 2027, assuming one of them is even Jeremiah Smith, but one of them is not the 1.2 or 1.3 really, then I don't know. I guess it'd depend on the extra player. But I'm going to say Smitty approve on the JSN trade. I'm sorry, Racing Boy, I read this wrong, and the Racing Boy's got one more here. Appreciate you. He wouldn't even consider giving up JSN. That's why he offered Lamb. Okay. So I would give up. You know what? I think he probably would consider the 3 first rounders for Lamb, though. The question would be, do I want that? And, with Pickens there, with the likelihood of Pickens maybe being...
Yeah. This guy's trying to hold on to his best players. Like, when I was talking, you can tell this is a guy who's trying to hold on to his very best guys. And I know Lamb isn't any joke or anything, but it's like, if I'm giving up 3 firsts, and Racing Boy had told me the teams that he's got these firsts from, while he understands they can definitely make moves and move up, they're some of the worst teams in the league. So he's going to have a shot to get those higher picks.
Yeah, Love is a stud, better version of Algier. I understand where you're going with on that, but Chris, I'd even say it's far better than that. I'd say if you want to say he's a version of something, I wouldn't use Algier. I would say he's a combination of Bijan meets a couple different players. I don't think he's Bijan, but I think he has traits of Bijan, and he certainly could be in the Bijan Gibbs tier. I think he'd be below both of them, but I think he could climb into the bottom of that tier. So Love's a lot better than that. Love's going to be a monster. Love's either going to New Orleans or he's going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs probably, because he's going to be a top 10 pick. Washington is certainly a consideration as well. So he could go 7, 8, or 9. One of these teams could trade down. Arizona Cardinals, I doubt they take him, but they could. Tennessee could take him. I doubt it, but they could. And especially if they move down. Giants won't. Cleveland Browns probably won't. You never know, though. They're the Browns. They took 2 running backs last year, 2 quarterbacks last year. Would it surprise anyone if they took another running back? Maybe not, especially with Judkins' injury being so bad. But I believe the odds are Washington, New Orleans, and KC are the 3 front runners to land Jeremiah Love. Probably New Orleans being the favorite, and that's the place I want him the most. And if Jeremiah Love goes to New Orleans, he's a top 3 to 5 running back. So...
would you rather trade Hendy or Jeremiah Love if you had him in Dynasty right now?
I'm looking up Jackson, and I've already told you Johnny's not coming out of college. He can't. He's a freshman.
No, and he was saying he might be transferring, but he's not. Bo Jackson already, I think it was a day or two ago, announced he's staying at Ohio State. He's
a freshman. He can't come out of college. That's what I'm saying. In 2027, John. In 2027. Yeah, Racing Boy, I would say that 3 first-rounders for Lamb's tough because I wouldn't give up Lamb, or I wouldn't give up Jeremiah Smith for Lamb. If this is the 1.2 and it's Bo Jackson, and this is 2027, John, I don't want to even give up Bo Jackson. So if you don't think you're going to have a number 1 or number 2 overall pick, it'd be different, and I could get behind the Lamb trade, especially if you're in a league where you just got so much talent. This puts you over the edge. But that's a lot of future to trade, but I don't know. Hard to say.
Oh, I was asking, would you rather trade Hendy or Jeremiah Love right now? Because that is an option for him and with different moves, because he also has Genty and Gibbs.
So this is a hard question for me to answer because of how much I love Hendy. I think Love is a little bit
safe. All 4.
Yeah, I think Jeremiah Love is a little bit safer, but Hendy's got more upside but more risk. So they're pretty equal. Okay. But I will probably, if I had 2 leagues and I was doing a startup draft, I'd take Love extremely high. And I would take Love in 1 league and Hendy in 1 league. I would split it. They're pretty much dead even. There's just a little bit more risk with Hendy's usage and what we've seen. Not saying that won't change, but coming out of the Bijan Robinson rookie year, we had similar questions. When will he be completely unlocked? Because we know he's better than running back 9. Bijan finished running back 9 as a rookie, and he was completely underutilized. So we knew it was coming. We knew he was running back 1. I'm not saying Love will be, or Hendy will be running back 1, but Hendy is capable of being a top 2 or 3 or 4 running back overall if he's used properly. Jeremiah Love will be used properly wherever he lands. So that's the only thing that you would maybe consider. DMO dropping 10 gifted memberships. DMO, appreciate you. All right, rock out. You're live, and then back to Travis. Go ahead. Thank you.
So what a game today.
Yeah. What a game.
Like it's crazy how much they sold. They're almost like the Eagles, but the Eagles have so much talent they can overcome it because they had like 2 games where they basically didn't score like a whole half because of their coaching.
Yeah. It was a wild game. I mean, but we said on the Patreon, man, that the Packers are going to lose. That even when they were up by over 2 scores, the Packers are going to lose. Even McManus missing the kicks, you just knew it. The momentum, it was crazy. It was simulation type stuff. It was simulation type stuff. It was almost like as if, like, let's say your fantasy championship was on the line, and you needed as a part of it, you needed the Green Bay Packers to win the game to advance to the next round so you could have players play or whatever. Like almost like Best Ball Mania, like to get to the next round, you had to survive. Your players had to go through, or a fantasy football playoff bracket. You have the best team around, and you have Green Bay players or something. You just knew it was not going to work out. You knew it. It was a debacle. And the Bears deserved their flowers, but that was more of the Packers unraveling than it was the Bears winning it. But Ben Johnson certainly got back into his bag of tricks after a dreadful coaching first half situation. How about them Bears, says Charles. Thank you,
it's pretty nuts with Stafford as well.
Yeah, Stafford almost. They look like they're. I don't know. They look like they're very, very shaky at times, man. The Rams are dangerous, but they look a little shaky.
What's your feeling on the Rams against Seattle?
I think the Rams win. If they let's see, let me go to the bracket real quickly. So the Rams are the 5 seed. The Chicago is, so it doesn't, the Rams don't play the Seattle Seahawks necessarily, because if San Francisco wins, they go up.
49ers could get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't know who's playing yet. That's why I have them right here. So Rams, Chicago advance, but we have no idea what the matchups are. So depending on this game, if Philly wins, then the Rams will play Seattle, and then the Bears will play the Eagles.
Okay, I got mixed up. Okay.
Yeah. It's confusing, kind of. You always remember the worst remaining seeded team goes against the team that's earned it and that's waiting on a bye. They're supposed to have the easy path. Give them the Niners win. The Niners are the worst team left from a seeding perspective. So they get the path to go, But if the Philly wins, then the worst remaining team is the Rams at 5. So they would go here. So either San Francisco will play Seattle or the Rams will play Seattle. But if you're asking me, what do I think? I think that if the Seahawks play the Niners, it's going to be a tough game, interdivision game. Anybody can win that game. The emotions will be high. Seattle's defense is so tough, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are going to bring it. I would say the Niners making it to a conference championship game are very, very low odds, because they got to go through 2 brutal defenses, and they're going to be worn the hell out by the time they get to Seattle. And if they get through that game and do make it to the championship game, they're going to be just absolutely, torn down. But I don't know.
Yeah. They're
Hard to
super
say.
hurt as well.
Crazy when you think about it, though, is if the Niners had won that Week 18 game and they were the 1 seed, they would literally just be sitting here rested, getting healthy, and they'd have this easy path right down, and they'd probably be favorites to go to the Super Bowl. It's kind of crazy how that works. Trent Williams is expected to play, Bill, so that's incorrect. Trent should be playing.
Yeah, they need him.
At this moment, anyway, he's supposed to play. Anything else, Rock Out?
Yeah, what's your feelings on Reed? Like, you can't really trust them going forward, right?
Reed? Thank you, DMO, for that super chat and for dropping the gifted memberships, bro. Everybody drop a thank you for DMO if you try to get you a membership or did. Reed, I don't have any high hopes for Reed, bro. You're talking about a room that's Golden. I'm not counting on Golden. I'm not counting on Reed. I'm not counting on Dobbs. I can barely count on Christian Watson, but the price would have to be right. But you're gonna have a whole new staff too, and I don't know. Love is still there. I highly doubt the staff is gonna rapture Love from the lineup, especially if Willis goes to start elsewhere, and they don't, make some weird move. So Love is part of the decision making and not making a consistent wide receiver. So I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with anybody but Watson.
And are you gonna do the hiring board like you did from a couple years ago, like the hires of GMs and coaches?
Yep, I'll try and have that up tonight. I got the running back board. I think I have it right here. So I got the running back board up. I need to have the free agent wide receiver board up. So here's the free agent running back board. We'll have a free agent wide receiver board. We'll have a head coaching, carousel board. I need to create that tonight. Thank you for reminding me. And DMO says, I'm not sure if it's been widely reported or not, but you saying fire the coaches. Well, it was rumored that if the Packers lost, Matt LaFleur was out. Miami just signed Sullivan as GM. How do you feel about him to Miami? No.
I don't want him.
LaFleur is. He might get another head coaching job. I wouldn't be surprised, but I feel bad for any team. Good luck.
Same thing over again.
Yeah, he just failed, bro. He embarrassed himself.
Burns through his timeouts all the time.
Every time.
Timeouts left.
Yeah, you don't want him in Miami. That would be really bad. And I'm telling you, I'm a little bit more worried about Achane than I think other people are. And I love Achane, but look what happened to JJ. You have to be worried about situations. It does impact things. And I'm just waiting for a good coach to land to where we're feeling really good about the running back position. Like Miami, Mike going to Atlanta or Detroit to work with Gibbs or Bijan. That's what we want. So Achane also needs, I want to say Kubiak in a way, Kubiak does run multiple RBs, but he doesn't necessarily have an Achane. He doesn't have a Bijan. He doesn't have so we don't know what he would do. If you got handed that type of running back. I think you're still needing to split carries for Achane anyway, so I think it'd be fine to run him as more of the Charbonnet. And look, Achane's delivered on that kind of volume. You don't want him getting all the work up the gut. He'll get hurt. So who knows what happens, but Miami with LaFleur, no way. No, thank you. Is it possible? Sure. Absolutely. Anything's possible. And any team that brings him in, it's a mistake. It's a big mistake. There's a reason he's getting fired. You agree Achane's a pass this year? I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth, JSK. I'm not telling you to pass on Achane. What?
That's a big
that
jump.
never came out.
Yeah, don't be spreading rumors about my Achane beliefs, JSK. What the hell are you doing, bro? Not getting that. I'm just saying we're hoping we don't see lesser value. You know what I mean? Like if Achane doesn't get the right coach, he probably produces less points. Doesn't mean we avoid him. It just means that now we can't draft him as the number 3 overall running back if he's got a piss poor situation, but he'll probably still deliver, but will he deliver the same? Ewers being the quarterback already watered down some of his numbers, and we knew that was going to happen. The moment Tua was raptured from the lineup, I sounded an alarm, and I said, we can't wish for this. We don't want this. It doesn't matter how bad Tua is. We need Tua. Tua and Achane go together like peas and carrots. We need them to stay together. And so there's downgrades that go on in my mind, but I'm not avoiding Achane. Absolutely not. I didn't use punctuation. Oh, okay. You're questioning it, I guess. No, I'm not avoiding him. But we do have to say to ourselves, are we taking him 3 overall if he's got LaFleur as his coach? And Jacobs is great for a while, so it's not like I'm that scared of LaFleur for Achane, but I'm scared of this team being piss poor and him making bad decisions. So what will that lead to? Will he pick the wrong quarterback and then Achane lives in horrible environment? Flores to Green Bay, that'd be interesting, man. Flores to Green Bay with Dable. We're trying to pair Dable and Flores together. I don't know if they're a team yet. I don't know if they're like stepbrothers, where they come as a package, interview together. I really would love to see Flores and Dable together. That's been what we've been talking about here on the channel for a little while. You can't see Miami Mike in the Midwest. Why? Because you picture him with his shirt unbuttoned, looking like a kingpin. Like, I don't know. He's going to go wherever he can go. All right, rock out. We'll see you later, pal. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll catch you later.
Later, bro.
Cool.
Travis, any final thoughts?
Just the Bears announced that their linebacker Edwards and left tackle Trujillo are out for the playoffs. So that's a big hit to them.
It's brutal.
So there's two core guys like that. It's tough.
Yeah, that's bad.
What are your picks for tomorrow? You had you had Patriots and Eagles winning, right?
What are my picks for tomorrow?
Yeah, is that what you had? Patriots and Eagles winning?
Let me go back over to it. Hold on. Yeah, I had the Eagles winning.
I know you had Patriots. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, Eagles and Patriots. Yeah. So the Eagles, Patriots. I had the Packers winning that game, so that could mess up with the order of what I had. But I missed one. Obviously, I'm 1 for 1. I have Buffalo. I ended up changing to win. I've got New England winning, and I've got I didn't take Houston down. Let's see, let me move that. Houston winning. So as of right now, we can't fill in this bracket yet. What?
I think Houston wins, but I think it might be closer. I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, they're going to blow out Pittsburgh," but I don't know if they'll blow them out or not.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll blow them out either. But I don't know. I felt like Aaron Rodgers was going to not be able to pull it off, and we'd see that image of him on the bench just pissed off. And and I think we'll probably see that at some point. It just didn't happen in week 18, but I do think we'll see it. I don't think he's got a shot in hell getting past Denver or, New
Denver,
England.
Buffalo, Jacksonville, New England, any of those teams.
Yeah, any of those teams, but definitely, his next matchup is probably going to be New England. Now, if LAC wins and shocks the world, and let's say something happens, coaching wise, whatever, injury, interception at the beginning of the game, and Chargers just get out to this weird lead. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they get by Houston, could get by the Chargers. I think Houston could get by the Chargers. So New England's got to win this game for this side of the bracket to be normalized and be, I think, consensus
what do you
or
think
whatever.
What do you think about Hampton's health? I guess he had a brace on his ankle today, but he should be good to go, right?
Yeah, I'm not hearing like he's not going to play. Sometimes they'll put players in boots and braces when there's any sign of anything, because then it gives all the relief for like a good 24, 48 hours or 5 days or whatever.
Right.
So if we're not hearing anything crazy, it's not sounding any alarms. I think they're just trying to keep him healthy, but never know. We've been lied to before. Hampton could have a severed foot. We'd have no idea until tomorrow.
Right. Just marching him out there.
Yeah, we'll see. DMO, again, appreciate you, bro. And I think did I answer all the super chats? DMO, appreciate you, my man. Racing Boy with another one. Racing Boy, I don't know why I didn't get notified on this one. Are you still there? He told me if you don't trade those picks by next year and we learn what they really are, I might be interested. I said at that point I'll hold. Yeah, just tell him you're not interested anymore, and he'll respond and go, okay, yeah, totally. And then like the next day he'll get an offer. But what about like he clearly wants to trade with you, even though you feel like maybe he's holding a little bit more of the I don't know, the cards or whatever. But
he wants Jeremiah Smith. He's already made it known.
Yeah, you know what I would say, bro? I'd say I'll give you keep your pick you want the most. You'll give him any 2 picks for Lamb. And if he doesn't want that, say, bro, I'm not going to sit here and convince you that Lamb isn't a risk with Pickens in town. Like Pickens scored wide receiver 5 overall, and you want my 2 picks. Say I'll make it easy for you. If you don't make the Lamb for the 2 pick trade, I'm going to commit. I'm not trading any of the picks to you at all ever. That's what I'd say. And so I'm going to stand on principle. I'm going to make a decision and stick to it. I'm going to write it down like in draft day, put a note in my pocket. Don't sell the 3 picks. Go get Jeremiah Smith, and keep using Jeremiah Smith repetitively so he knows that's what you're going to own. You're going to have Jeremiah Smith. Let him know that if you get Jeremiah Smith, you're never trading him to anybody. Make it totally known that you'll give him 2 picks now, or you're never going to trade him the picks because Jeremiah Smith is yours and you're never going to trade him. That will scare the piss out of him. But right now, it feels like he has all the cards because you're kind of being polite about it. But that would be the move to make. Just piss him off that way very slowly, and he'll be putty in your hands, bro. How are we feeling about Jonathan Brooks? DMO wants to know. I have no expectations of good expectations for, or negative. Well, I guess negative. I don't even think about him, bro. If you told me to rank my top 40 running backs, I wouldn't have even considered putting him in him. Top 40 running back. I wouldn't even considered it. I wouldn't even. I don't think I'd draft him. I don't think dynasty startup. I don't think I'd even draft him.
Who would you bet on to make a comeback more, him or Tank Dell?
And I might be being a little hard on Jonathan Brooks. Maybe I'd draft him in a big dynasty draft. I'd have to be on the clock to really know, but I'm more so, I think, making a stance on that. It just doesn't. There's nothing. I don't think there's any expectation that he's going to rise up and become something. I mean, they signed Chuba Hubbard to a longer term deal because they're writing him off. I'd probably say he's the kind of guy who could get cut. I would say Tank Dell because, I mean, the team loved him. He was exciting. I don't know that I have expectations for either, though.
Well, that's why I asked, because there are these two guys that like just devastating injuries and have a
Devastating.
huge road back, you know. But the
Tank Dell
talent's
Deli.
there, but is it still there? You know.
Yeah.
Can
The
it stay
pandemic
healthy?
took out the Tank Dell Deli. It's one of the many restaurants that got hit. He tried to play it off like, oh, I don't need Smith. He just be a luxury for me. Then let him know. Say, I will tell you this right now, and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I will give you, for Lamb, I'll give you 2 of these picks. I'll give you this one and this one. And if you don't take it, it's not about you. It's about me. And you can, that way you're not being a jerk about it. You just say, it's not about you. It's about me. I'm going to commit to myself that I'm never going to trade in these 3 picks. So you can have them now. I'll take Lamb. But if you say no, I'm going to hold on to them no matter what, because I promised myself I would never trade Jeremiah Smith. Use Jeremiah Smith. And he will be putty in your hands, or he was never going to do a deal. But at least it's over. And that's it. And you just tell him, I promise you. And then you can even stick to your promise if you want, bro. Until he comes to you with an offer you can't refuse, then you can break your promise. But you just act like, nope, I told you, I warned you. And then he'll come back to you and go, what about this? Go, I told you I'm not trading the 2 pick. And then he comes back to you and he goes, okay, I'll give you, and he gives you an offer you can't refuse. You go, okay. But you literally stand on principle until you get faced with something that makes you break that. But you totally be hardball with him, bro. Just tell him, I will never, ever, ever trade you these 3 picks, any of them. If you don't take this offer, it's a fair offer, Lamb, for 2 of them. You want Jeremiah Smith? Fine. If you don't, I will have him, and I will never trade him. And he'll be like sitting here pondering you never trading him, ever. And he'll never have his golden boy. He wants him. He wants Jeremiah Smith more than anything. I can feel it.
Mm-hmm. And Racing Boy, his team is loaded. He's got the running backs I told you about, and it's a super flex, and he has Allen and May. And then he's got Neighbors, and he's got a couple, a few good, like, decent wide receivers. So he doesn't have to make any desperate moves at all. He can sit there and wait for the right deal.
Or you just trade all 3 for JSN. And if he doesn't take that, you could always
That's what I do.
Hard line stance on that. Yeah. So maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe you just say this. You go, I will give you all 3 picks for JSN straight up, 3 for 1. If you just hold on before you reject it. If you reject it, I will never, ever, ever trade these 3 picks to you, and I will own Jeremiah Smith. You will not, and you can be fine with that. But I'm just telling you, you're making the decision right now for both of us. And you can offer me till you're blue in the face. I'm going to reject it, not even counter. Never trading him. Your call. All 3 for JSN, or we're done.
Yeah, his team's good enough to do that.
Do that. Do that trade. All right, Travis, anything else?
Nope.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Racing
it,
Boy.
Smitty. I'll talk to you later.
All right, later. Talk to you tomorrow. We'll be live on Dynasty. I'll probably do a Dynasty video tonight. I might do the second round mock draft video tonight as well. Edit those. So tomorrow we should have a Dynasty video upload. Maybe a live stream, but probably an upload on the Dynasty channel. Here's the Dynasty channel link if anybody wants to make sure they are subscribed to it, because it is an amazing channel, because it's all Dynasty all the time. And let me pin that link right now. And then we'll have at least a wrap-up show tomorrow of the games, but I'll be working on another video to launch either Monday morning early at 7 a.m. Eastern, or I might even drop a video at 7 a.m. Eastern and also drop another video at some point during the day tomorrow or whatever. But at the very minimum, you're going to get a Dynasty upload or live stream tomorrow, and you're going to get a recap of the game live stream, and then a Monday morning, bright and early 7 a.m. video. So appreciate every single one of you. Harbaugh to Green Bay. It's possible, but I don't know. I think Harbaugh's making his decision on already known landing spots. Whereas the Green Bay spot is, we're speculating that they fired the staff. This might not happen. We're talking about human beings here that are making decisions. I don't know. But LaFleur and the whole staff better be gone already. I'm telling you, I wouldn't let them on the bus. They walk up to the bus and I'd say, denied. You guys, your Uber or Waymo is waiting for you over there. Please hand your badges and your keys and your iPads in. You guys are embarrassment to this team. And you're all gone. You're all gone. You tiptoed around this lead and played it safe and just handed this victory. And you didn't play any defense at all. 0 defense at the end of that game. How is everybody untouched in the end zone? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Debacle unfolding. I'm glad I'm not a Packer fan because I'd be ripped to shreds tonight. It'd be a mess. All right, live whenever big news breaks. Live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern every single Monday through Friday. That's the flagship show, as well as the midnight Eastern almost every single night. That's also the flagship show. We built this Smitty on Graveyard Shows, which you're watching right now, Graveyard Show.
You're watching a
Graveyard Stream.
So see you all tomorrow.
I'm Dom, and I drive fast cars, get hot chicks, and draft Ashton Genty double fist style with 2 cell phones at the same time. Why do I have 2 cell phones? One for looking up Ashton Genty stats all day, the other is for getting chicks.
Brown. Oh yeah. Brown. Touchdown. You hear that sound? It's Chase Brown. Chase Brown, 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 Chase Brown.
Honey, what is that awful sound?
Hi, my name is B. John Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring touchdowns.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk.
Warning, what you're about to see might be a little bit scary. You might want to turn away if you're squeamish, but this footage has been sent to us from a local Phoenix resident. Local authorities are trying to figure out what the sign means. It reads Sharp Season. Unclear as to what that is trying to reference or if that's some sort of warning. And it's still undetermined where these flying objects are deriving from.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk.
Thank you, Racing Boy, for the super chats, my man. I hope I took care of you enough. If you got any follow-ups, please make sure you let me know. Racing Boy, are you on the Patreon? If so, drop a message if we need to follow up. DMO, appreciate your gifted memberships. DMO to the mother freaking moon.
You've just been Smitty approved.
DMO dropping a $20 hauler and 10 gifted. DMO, you still out there? Hope he is. DMO, if you're still out there, you're going to Mars and getting a standing ovation if you're still there. I hope he's still there. Racing Boy with the multiple super chats.
I smell meatloaf.
Hey, Ma, the meatloaf. Just doesn't stop this guy. Racing Boy or DMO. Charles, appreciate your super chat. Burnt Toast, appreciate your super chat. EA Goats, appreciate your super chat. Coble, Scotty Doo, and Chucky. DMO. Is he here? DMO. He's probably passed out. We're whispering sweet nothings in his ear right now. He's just trying to go to bed, get a good night's sleep, and he's hearing his name being chanted. DMO. Do we have a rice emoji? Do I need to get rid of one? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we need to get rid of it. If there's a rice emoji, we need to get rid of it. DMO. We're giving him a standing ovation anyway. DMO, thank you. right, see you all later. See you tomorrow. Deuce.
Congrats to all you Bear fans.